alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Welcome back in, everyone. Now, there are some games that instantly take you back to being a kid. You hear the music, you see the graphics, and then suddenly you're sitting way too close to a CRT monitor, probably eating something that'll stain your keyboard permanently. Well, for me, one of those games is Duke Nukem 3D. Released back in '96 on PC and '97 on consoles, Duke Nukem 3D arrived right in the middle of the golden age of first-person shooters. Everybody talks about Doom, Quake, Half-Life, and rightly so, but Duke carved out his own place by doing something completely different. He had personality, well, a lot of personality, probably too much personality. Today we're going to jump back in to see how well this legendary shooter holds up nearly 30 years later, and more importantly, can Duke still kick ass and chew bubblegum? Well, he's definitely all out of gum. So here we are in the Hollywood Holocaust, one of the most iconic opening levels in gaming history, and honestly, this level does something that still impresses me today. Instead of throwing you into some abstract maze of corridors, it immediately feels like a real place. We've got a movie theatre, city street, rooftop, bathrooms, vending machines, stuff that actually exists back in '96. This felt incredibly immersive. Now, obviously, by modern standards, it's pretty simple, but there was something special about seeing recognisable locations in a shooter. One thing I love about Duke Nukem 3D is how interactive everything feels. You can blow up security cameras, use light switches, open random doors, destroy decorations, flush toilets, because apparently somebody at 3D Realms thought, you know what, players really want that accurate bathroom technology, and honestly, you know, do it right. Now, talking about Duke himself though, Duke isn't just a player character, he's basically like an action movie parody that somehow became a gaming icon. Everything he says sounds like it was stolen from an 80s action movie and then turned up to 11, and somehow it works. I mean, these days he's definitely a product of his time. Some jokes have aged better than others, but there really wasn't another character quite like him. Back then, most FPS protagonists were silent, Duke wouldn't shut up, and gaming was better for it. So how does Duke Nukem 3D actually play in 2026? Honestly, really well. The movement is fast, weapons feel powerful, enemies react dramatically when they're hit, and combat is the old school arcade energy, where you're constantly moving and searching for supplies. The pig cops are still great enemies, half police officer, half pig, 100% angry, no explanation needed, it's the 90s, just go with it. What I appreciate though is how readable everything is. You instantly know what's happening, no skill trees, no crafting, no battle pass, no 15 currencies, just guns and monsters, a truly ancient concept. As opening levels go, Hollywood Holocaust is near perfect. It's short, memorable, packed with ideas, and teaches you almost everything you need to know about the game without feeling like a tutorial, which is something modern games occasionally struggle with. Now moving on to the red light district, and if Hollywood Holocaust established Duke personality, this level absolutely doubles down on it. Even by 90s standards, this level was bold. Let's call it bold. You can practically hear the developers saying, what if we absolutely made no attempt to be subtle? And everyone then agreed. What's really impressive though is how much personality this level has. You don't just move through rooms, you move through locations, bars, alleys, buildings, clubs. The world feels connected, and that's something Duke Nukem 3D did incredibly well. These maps tell little stories, even when they're completely ridiculous. There's always something happening visually, explosions, environmental details, little jokes, random references. The levels feel handcrafted in a way that's becoming increasingly rare. One of the things that made Duke Nukem stand out was its engine. While Doom's levels were mostly flat, Duke Nukem 3D introduced something called room over room tricks, a much more advanced level design. The maps felt vertical, you could climb rooftops, swim underwater, blow holes in walls, and interact with the environment in a way that felt incredibly advanced at the time. The game also arrived during one of the most competitive periods in PC gaming history. In the space of just a few years, players got Doom, Quake and Duke Nukem 3D, Blood, Shadow Warrior and a whole wave of shooters trying to outdo each other. And Duke's secret weapon wasn't necessarily the graphics, it was the attitude. And the funny thing is, what started as a joke ended up becoming one of the most recognisable characters in gaming. Another thing I appreciate revisiting Duke today is how ambitious developers were. There are details in these levels that most players probably never even notice. The game constantly rewards curiosity. You can tell the developers were having fun making it, and I think that's part of why people still talk about Duke Nukem 3D nearly 30 years later. Not because it's the biggest game, not because it had the best graphics, but because it has personality all of its own.
Ooh, I needed that. Cool.
We need to take a moment to actually appreciate Duke's arsenal. Even early on, these weapons feel fantastic. The shotgun remains an absolute classic. Every shot feels powerful, the sound effects are incredible, and the enemy reactions make every encounter satisfying. This was long before every shooter tried to make guns feel realistic. These guns feel fun, which is arguably more important. Now, not everything in the game is aged flawlessly, let's be fair. The controls can feel awkward if you're used to modern shooters. Some level objectives are a little obscure, and occasionally you'll find 5 minutes searching for a keycard that somehow was directly in front of your face the whole time. We've all done it, don't pretend you haven't. Old school shooters had a unique ability to make you feel both incredibly smart and incredibly stupid within the same minute, but honestly, that's why we loved them. The biggest surprise revisiting Duke Nukem 3D is how modern some of it still feels. Not graphically, obviously, nobody's confusing this for Unreal Engine 5, but the level design, the pacing, the interactivity, the sense of fun, those things still hold up. The game understands a simple truth: games are supposed to be enjoyable. Not every mechanic needs 3 layers of progression systems attached to it. Sometimes running around with a shotgun while aliens explode is enough. Now, of course, this wouldn't be Duke Nukem 3D without that moment. You walk into the club and immediately remember the game was made in the mid-90s, when subtlety was apparently considered a sign of weakness. Back then, this stuff felt incredibly edgy, like the developers were constantly trying to see how much they could get away with before someone from marketing burst through the door and stopped them. And honestly, it's more funny than shocking now. There's something almost charming about how unapologetically juvenile it all was. Duke walks up, throws some cash, delivers a cheesy one-liner, and carries on saving humanity like that's a completely normal part of the mission. It's peak Duke Nukem, part action hero, part walker midlife crisis, and somehow against all odds, it still gets a laugh out of me nearly 30 years later. This strip club scene is legendary. We all grew up with it, we all knew it, we all still talk about it. It was like a meme before memes became a thing. And although this game didn't need any more status, this club scene did give it that little bit more. After looking back at the game, Duke Nukem 3D still earns its legendary reputation. It's fast, it's funny, it's packed with personality, and despite its age, it's still ridiculously entertaining. Sure, some aspects are definitely products of the 90s, but the core game design remains rock solid. There's a reason people still talk about Duke Nukem 3D all these years later, because underneath the one-liners, explosions, and questionable life choices, there's an exceptionally well-designed shooter, and that sometimes never goes out of style. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this trip back into one of gaming's greatest classics, let me know what your favourite Duke level is or your favourite moment. And if enough people want it, maybe we'll continue through the rest of the episode. Until next time, hail to the king, baby.